Well, hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs. I'm here, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. We are going to discuss the game against Liverpool, although not the result we wanted. Ultimately, there's some positives to take away from it. We didn't have the lineup that we wanted because of injuries and stuff like that. So we're just going to talk through a few things. I think that pundits may have been a bit harsh on our first half performance because of the Eric Dyer goal. I think that meant we got more criticism for our team performance than we actually deserved to. So, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. I know a lot of you would have watched the game, probably heard some people talk about it already, but I'm just going to give my opinion on it as I do. So those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, hit it with a like if you enjoy the video, and please leave your comments below because we do have discussions on there. So, let's get into the game itself. Mohamed Salah took his recent tally to 9 goals in 8 games, thanks to a fairly well worked goal from Liverpool's point of view, but from us defensively, we should have done better. We let them in on that one, and then a gift of a goal from Eric Dyer to them. Kane did pull one back, but that wasn't enough to earn a point for us. There was controversy in there. We will talk about Liverpool and how that helped them. But that leaves us 7 points above the 8th place Liverpool, who have a game in hand on us. And now we sit behind the reinvigorated Newcastle, who have just been going from strength to strength under Eddie Howe's stewardship. And we know all about that after the game that we had against them. So, for us, many key players missing. So we had to settle for a team mainly of defensive-minded players, or players that have more defensive traits. So Richarlison still wasn't ready. Son was out because of the cheekbone and all the injuries going on there for surgery. Romero out once again. Is he becoming the defensive equivalent of Darren Anderton? Seems to be injured an awful lot. Mora, credit to the guy. He's been playing through the pain barrier to help us, but they decided he wasn't fresh enough to start. And then Kulusevski, the return of him, but on the bench, deemed not fit enough to start, but they wanted to get some minutes under his legs. So that left us with a lineup of Lloris in goal, the back three once again of Dyer, Longley and Davies. Dyer taking up his new position on the right, and that's obviously because Davies and Longley predominantly left-footed players. And also of our defenders, I would say Dyer is the most suited to deputise for Romero. Then we had Cesar as one wing back and Royale as the other. Bentancur, Bazuma and Højbjerg making that 3 in the middle, with Perisic, the surprise choice, up top and Kane alongside him. So he decided there wasn't enough players for a front three, quite clearly, in the squad of fit players anyway. Had they all been fit, we probably would have seen a variation of Perisic, Kane and Kulusevski, or Mora, Kane, Kulusevski, whichever. But before the game, I think, admittedly, knowing the injuries we had, I think a lot of us fans would have said a draw would have been acceptable because, the lineup, unfit players on the bench. Liverpool is a team we predominantly struggle against, even at our own stadium. And Liverpool at some point needed to turn around their form in the Premier League. They've had, for them, what is a torrid start. Away, they hadn't won in the Premier League. They had really disappointing defeats to Nottingham Forest and Leeds. So they were always going to bounce back. And of course, it was always going to be against us. And we have been struggling against the so-called top teams in the Premier League. Salah gave him the lead after 11 minutes. In my opinion, there needed to be better marking from our players. I felt like all of our 3 centre-backs kind of got drawn across and sucked into the play for that one. Second goal was obviously poor decision-making by Eric Dyer. I know he was defended by Conte after the game, but we all know in that situation, he just needs to either header it strongly back towards Lloris, or he needs to header it the other way. The fans didn't actually help because later on in the game he did make a headed effort back to Lloris that Lloris saved, and there was sarcastic jeers from the crowd. Look, I'm all for disappointment and stuff and sarcastic jeering, but when it's a player that, let's face it, has had a very good season last season, he's got himself back in the England squad. Yes, he's made a mistake. He's playing in a slightly different position that he's been used to for his time under Antonio Conte, and even under Jose Mourinho. So look, I'm not making excuses for that. His pace isn't good enough still. But for the fans to kind of treat him that way, I think was a bit harsh. Like, he doesn't go out there to put bad performances in. He's made a crap ton of appearances for us. And, Conte, Mourinho, Pochettino, they've all come out and said great things about Dyer. So there is a player in there. He just needs to get these mistakes out of his game. I feel like he's got a mistake every 2 games in him. A bit like we feel like Davinson Sanchez has that mistake in him every game. So, swings and roundabouts. However, I also don't think for that second goal, Lloris helped. He came rushing out. And I think he actually committed to going down too early, which made Salah's mind up to chip him. Yes, he shouldn't have had to have been in a position to do that, but as an experienced goalkeeper up against Mohamed Salah, who is one of the best players in the world on his day, I think he had to go strong and force Salah into making a decision rather than making his mind up for him. But hey-ho, that saw us 2-0 down. But because of that Dyer mistake, I felt at half-time the pundits, the fans obviously booed, which, there's entitlement to, because it's very expensive to watch Tottenham Hotspur these days. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a rip-off, in my opinion, which is why I'm no longer a season ticket holder, because I can't justify paying that with the train fare, the amount you spend on the day, as much as I'd love to still go to the stadium for all the games, but it's just so expensive and unreasonable for, the majority of people. But anyway, all that meant I feel it marred what was actually an okay performance. So me and my brother were messaging during the game, and he said to me, we're not actually playing that bad. It was, a bit of sloppy defending, a poor decision by Eric Dyer, a rushed effort to come out by Hugo Lloris. But apart from that, I'm not saying we were great. But in terms of first half performances, it was certainly better than what we've seen recently. And against a Liverpool side who needed to change things around, and they were playing well, they were attacking, they were pinging the long balls, crossfield balls from Trent and Robertson, and let's face it, we had a makeshift 11. So really, we didn't do too badly. I felt everyone was a bit harsh. I thought Perisic was good in the first half. He was causing Trent Alexander-Arnold problems. He had the header deflected onto the post by Alisson. Cesc had a penalty shout turned away, and in my eyes it's a penalty. I know people were saying it's soft, but for me it wasn't a shoulder barge, it was a clear push. His arm goes against him and clearly makes a forward motion, causing him to not be able to be in control of the ball, resulted in him falling over. Whether it was soft or not, the fact is, outside the box, you're giving that as a free kick, and you can't have a difference between them. And what made matters worse, it was very similar to the foul which earned Man City's Cancelo a red card and handed Fulham a penalty on Saturday. So once again, Liverpool get a decision to help them. When I saw it, I was like, it has to be a penalty. Obviously, there was the other so-called penalty shout with Lucas Moura, and at the time, I was like, that has to be a penalty. He got kicked in the face, if any of you didn't notice. He certainly did. But look, hey-ho, didn't go our way there. So Conte sent the players out early for the second half. It's not the first time he's done it, and as usual, even though we were okay in the first half and we had our moments, we were much better once again. We piled on the pressure. Perisic had another effort that hit the woodwork after a nicely first-time cut-back ball from Ryan Sessegnon. The introduction of Kulusevski saw him assist Kane on the 70th minute. He'd been on the pitch 2 minutes. Instant impact. A typical Kane shot. He took it early. He didn't even look at the goal. He knows exactly where he is by the lines that are around him on the pitch. He knew that he was by the 6-yard box, took it, cross goal. Excellent as usual. Kulusevski got a massive cheer from the players when he come on. We've been itching for him back, and it just goes to show straight away how important he is. Since he had signed for Spurs, in the games he's played in, he is the top assist maker. In the league, he bettered Kevin De Bruyne. So look, we know what we're getting for him. So look, the goal was good. We kept piling on the pressure. Bentancur went close with a couple of headers. Kane also glanced wide. Liverpool were clinging on, basically. We mounted so much pressure on them. We weren't giving up. We're pushing. Doherty obviously helped when he came on. And I think Doherty plays much better when he's with Kulusevski. Royale kind of does when he's playing with Kulusevski, because all he does is just makes a run, cuts back, gives Kulusevski the ball and lets him do the rest. Whereas Doherty actually gets involved. They have a bit of a partnership relationship, which was evident because we scored. Klopp, he had no choice, but he kept introducing more and more defensive players as the game wore on, because he knew what was coming if he didn't. I also thought, aside from Dyer's mistake, he was very impressive in the second half. So that first half, as a defender, you can't make up for it, because essentially he cost us the goal that saw the game taken almost out of our hands. But, he had a very, very good second half. He got forward. In fact, he put in a few successful crosses. He was linking up with players well. Bearing in mind, Royale was meant to be the attacking man on that side. From right-sided centre-back, Eric Dyer became our most attacking threat for large periods of the second half. So I thought he was really good in that. He actually helped in the build-up to the second goal as well. To our goal. As I said, the fans did boo at half-time, which didn't help. But Cess, I thought he caused Trent Alexander-Arnold problems with his pace. Perisic as a striker, I thought operated quite well, to be honest. He gave Trent problems. His positioning was very good and he made some very intelligent runs. I would have liked to have seen Cess and Perisic actually swap every now and again in the first half. And my reasoning for that is because Sessegnon has a lot more pace. I know Perisic is more experienced and he's got good determination. He got in a couple of positions that he could have potentially scored from. But Sessegnon with that bit of extra pace. And we've also seen Sessegnon put the ball away a couple of times this season, and quite tidily as well. He loves that, and it's very similar to what Gareth Bale used to do. He loves taking that shot from the left and dragging it across into the right-hand corner. He's very good at that shot across goal. So I'd have liked to have seen him switch a bit, and that would have gave them, the Liverpool defenders, more to worry about, because they wouldn't have quite known who they were going to get at what time. But, I'm not Antonio Conte. That's just my opinion. But I think, Perisic showed really good strength, really good desire. He also arrived in the box really well to meet aerial balls. So, look, no complaints there. As a makeshift striker, I thought he did really well. So let's talk about what Conte said. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase bits that he said. I'm not going to do the whole thing. He basically said, the defeat is difficult to explain. We deserved much more. We put the pressure on. He didn't know why we were 2-0 down at half-time. I mean, we do. We saw it. It's defending wasn't good enough, simply. Second half created many chances. The keeper made some good saves. We hit the post and crossbar. The fans have to be happy when the team fights. It was a difficult moment with all the injuries. We need to find a solution. He felt Perisic and Kane were a good solution. The fans tried to support from start to the end, and the result was unfair. Now, just talking about what he actually said about the fans, because obviously he does many interviews. That was just one of the ones that I saw. But his Spurs play interview, apparently he didn't completely dig out the Spurs fans, but he almost pleaded with us to carry on being patient and believe in the process. Now, parts of me don't like that. Parts of me kind of understand completely where he's coming from, because it is a process. And I think our league position has kind of led, and the fact that we got Champions League football last season from Conte being in charge for like 7 months and smashed it. He's now been in charge for a year. But I think, I don't want to criticise Spurs fans, because it's natural and it's normal. Your team have got themselves into this position, and therefore we kind of feel like we can demand more and demand the right. But I think we need to remember that when we've got injuries in our squad, and we've got certain capabilities, we are going to struggle at times, and I think we need to accept that. We think we have the right to be a top 4 team, but you have to earn that. I mean, throughout my whole childhood, the majority of the time, Spurs floated between 10th and 14th. And it was only really as I got into my late 20s that, Pochettino came in and started dragging us to overachievement. And I suppose that overachievement has made us think that we have the right to continue to perform this way. But we need to remember sometimes that these players are just getting a lot. These managers are getting a lot out of the squads they currently have. They do need more. We saw it with Pochettino's Tottenham. They started to kind of decline. The season we got to the Champions League final, we didn't particularly play well in the league or even in the Champions League. We were dragged to a Champions League final by essentially Lucas Moura and Llorente. They dragged us there, only in the final for it to all go tits up when a not fully fit Harry Kane was put into the squad and Lucas Moura not on the pitch. So, essentially we're overachieving it again. We are. And yes, we haven't been particularly great in the first half, but the fact is, Conte has still managed to keep us in the top four. He got us a Champions League spot. We finished top of our Champions League group, and it was a topsy-turvy group. There was a lot going on in that, and we're still fourth now, and we should be fourth. Well, we will be fourth going into the World Cup, so we're going to come back from that. Hopefully we get the result in the Carabao Cup as well. And, we're laughing. We're doing really well, despite the fact that we're not where we need to be. And that's a good sign. It's difficult to watch. The football isn't great at times. And I think there's a difference. I've been a bit critical of it as well. Conte's style of football isn't a bad style of football. It very much depends on the players. Like we keep saying that we're too defensive. And it's not that the system's defensive. It's that we haven't quite got the balance of players to execute the system. But we did see that that second half against Liverpool, we were bam, 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 flying. But I think we haven't got the depth of squad at the moment to be able to do that for 90 minutes. So I think we'll see a better Tottenham over the next couple of transfer windows as he really nails down the strength in depth that he's had at other clubs. But at Chelsea always have a massive squad. They always have a second 11. So, we haven't got a second 11. But anyway, we'll move on to the players individually now. So, Lloris, I thought he was okay. As I said, I think he could have done better after Dyer's mistake. Came out too quick and committed too early to go into ground, leaving Salah an easy decision. Although it was still a wonderful finish. But apart from that, I think he did fairly well. There wasn't actually too much that came his way because for the majority of the game we defended quite well. We just made 2 errors that led to 2 goals. Simple as. Dyer, obviously he made the mistake. He did have a headed chance that he put at Alisson. Got in some really good attacking positions and put in some good crosses in the second half. Longley I thought was good overall, but my issue with him is sometimes I think he just allows people to pass him too easily. I think he'll get better in time. We've got to remember with Barcelona, he was very much in and out the side before he came to us, and he's actually been, didn't start a lot when he first came over here, and now he's in and out the side of the again. So I think that's just going to come down to rhythm. And also, he's been playing on the left of the back three. Now all of a sudden with Romero's injury, he's now in the middle. So again, for him, it's trying to, find his feet. But yeah, he also sent a header over and, I think he should have done better. He got himself into a great position, worked the space really well. Should have just done a bit better with it. Davies defended well. He stopped Salah from scoring at one point. Little actually came down his side because Trent kept hitting early crossfield balls a lot of the time to Robertson or Nunez. Kept hitting those long balls to them. So, they didn't have much to deal with, and that is just a key element of Trent's game. He loves hitting those long crossfield balls. It's what he's good at. So there's no need to take players on. So yeah, he was okay. Emerson Royale. Let's talk about the good thing he did first. He put Kane through with a nice ball early on. And that was it from an attacking sense. He defends okay. Going forward, he offers next to nothing. He can't cross the ball. He doesn't understand link-up play very well. He's very much a run forward, get the ball, cut back inside, pass backwards, or pass to the nearest person, which I have no problems with when Kulusevski's on the pitch. When he's not, it causes issues. I think he panics, and he's not a bad player. I've seen people saying that he's the worst Spurs signing ever, or one of the worst. He's not a bad player. What it is, he just doesn't suit the system that Antonio Conte wants to play. End of. He's a good player. If we played with a back four, I would have no issues at all. He is a good right back. He is a good full back. He is not a wing back. I don't think he ever will be. He's still young, so he's got time to develop. But mentally, I just don't think that's his game. He's not a typical Brazilian player. And I don't think he's ever going to be for us. So I think now we've hit the time where we need to stop criticising him saying he's a bad player, and we need to criticise Conte for continuously playing him when we have Matt Doherty, who at the end of last season when he was fit was very good and had a great relationship with Kulusevski. And we also have Jed Spence. I know it's not a player he wanted to sign, but based on Jed Spence's performances last season, he plays the Conte way. I think he's got a way to go because he's come up from the Championship, but surely a Jed Spence that is learning is better than an Emerson Royale that we've currently got. Maybe he just doesn't trust Jed Spence defensively yet. I don't know. We will see in the future. Højbjerg worked hard as always, tried to be creative, but essentially wasn't very creative. And, I think maybe he's a little burnt out. He's played a lot of minutes. He worked very hard in the last few games. So, he was okay. Bizuma arguably had his best game so far in a Spurs shirt. Battled for everything. Showed good composure on the ball. He has this ability just to sort of like nick a toe in and get the ball. So for him, happy. Bentancur is fast becoming one of our best players. He's going from strength to strength every game. He's classy. He's now getting the attacking side of his game going. He's pitched in with a few goals. Got on the end of some crosses in this game as well. So I think we are very lucky that we are watching a player go from one level to the next in Rodrigo Bentancur. So exciting future for him. Ryan Sessegnon, he showed what he can do on that side following an injury to Ben Chilwell, and now I'm talking about the World Cup squad. And whilst Trent showed exactly why Southgate has got concerns, great pass for the ball, but defending is poor. Whereas Sessegnon, he showed pace, he showed fairly decent defending, he showed what he can do in an attacking sense. I'm not saying he is going to make the England squad. Southgate does look to the under-21 sometimes when there's injuries. But I thought, Sessegnon is clearly learning something this season. He's bulked up a little bit, so he's less injury prone. I still think there are times where I want him to take people on, but his previous injuries, I think, are stopping him from doing that. So hopefully the longer he stays injury-free, the more likely he is to open up them legs and really tear down the side. I mean, we saw for Fulham that Championship season, the one they came up, he scored 16 goals. He's got it in him. He's just got a mental block at the moment, but we're seeing a player develop, so very happy with him. Perisic caused Trent loads of problems, lots of quality in both positions he took up in the games, because when Sessegnon came off, we saw Perisic then go back into the left wing back role, and Perisic 14 crosses in the game. 14. That's mental for a side, a Spurs side that apparently defensive in Conte's system. 14 crosses. That's exactly what you want from your wing back. Mental. Harry Kane, as we said, very good goal. Had some other chances in the game. Nearly set up a late goal with a great headed flick on that Bentancur just couldn't reach. Even if he'd have dove for it, he wasn't going to reach it. But he's so close. The subs. So Doherty replaced Emerson Royale. He looked to push us forward. Played well with Kulusevski. He was the one that gave Kulusevski the ball for the assist to Kane. Lucas Moura came on late, but didn't really have enough time to influence the game in any sense. But the main man, let's talk about him. Dejan Kulusevski. I've been begging for this guy to come back from injury. I think he's absolutely insane. He doesn't set the world alight in terms of he's not a flair player. He's not the guy you look to and go, he's the heartbeat of the team. But look, he'd missed 11 games. That's a whopping amount of games. 11 games. And in that time, although our league position is good, we saw within 2 minutes just what we've been missing with this guy. His link-up play is great. His strength on the ball is great. He doesn't look quick, but still gets past people. He's got very, very good feet, and his strength just helps him. He is built for the Premier League. He got his assist. People were just giving him the ball. He was whipping in crosses. He was shifting onto the left foot. He's quite happy to go on his right foot. Harry Kane must have been buzzing when he saw him standing there and the board went up with his number. He must have been so happy, going, oh my God, finally, I'm going to get some balls into the box with quality. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know if he'll start the cup game. Maybe they'll just, ease him back into it, give him a few more minutes, and then hopefully he will be starting against Leeds, because we have missed him. Bit of other team news. Richarlison is back in training. He's had 2 sessions with the team now. He will, I believe, be on the bench for the cup game. And there are rumours saying he may have some involvement in the game against Leeds. So yeah, that is it from me today, really. The game, although bad result, we're still in a good position in the league. There's plenty of positives to take from it, especially with not what we would call anywhere near our starting 11. So, take from it what you will. I'm disappointed that again, we're getting there in the first half. The first half, we're kind of getting there. I'm still disappointed that we can't do in the first half what we managed to do to teams in the last half hour of games. We absolutely destroy teams. And if we did that continuously for the majority of the game, we would score more goals. It's inevitable. We have the quality on the pitch to do it. So let me know in the comments what you actually think about that. How do you think that Perisic fared up top? Do you think he's possibly somebody that we could use again if we have these kind of issues? We know Richarlison's meant to be our backup striker. Son, I still don't believe is a backup striker. I don't care what anyone says. He just doesn't make the right movements when he's in the centre. For me, he doesn't do it. But yeah, up next for us, we got the game against Forest in the Cup. And then we got Leeds in the Premier League all before the World Cup. And I'm going to do a video on AC Milan because, as you know, we've drawn AC Milan in the Champions League. Because we finished top of our group, the first game is going to be in Milan, and then we get to bring it back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where hopefully we absolutely kick the crap out of them on the pitch and make our way through to the next round of the Champions League. So I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Hope you enjoyed that one. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and I will speak to you next time. Come on, you Spurs.